Hey, what's happening, world? It's your boy Kellz, aka Special K, back at you again with a special lunchtime episode of the Culture Marauders podcast, and it's powered by Poddex. So Poddex, they're our sponsor. This a great tool for creators out there and content creators to have more meaningful conversations and create better content. The interview deck contains unique conversation starting questions that are non-industry specific. These questions can be used for any content creation, such as podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, IG Live, and like I'm using and been using StreamYard. So it's a really, really cool concept. Travis Brown, the owner and founder, has created a series of different decks from, what the heck, different interview topics, episode ideas, all to help the creators out there. So, your boy Kellz, he's going to hook you up with a special discount code. And all you got to do is just go on www.poddex.com. Get your goodies, throw your selected decks in the cart, and when you're ready to check out, go in and slap on that special VIP code Marauder1 for 10% off, and that is good enough to save you a little change, keep a little something in your pocket for an afternoon snack or something there for you. So that's the Poddex, and I have my special guest right here, Miss Amy Riley. She is going to help me out and just show you the magic, the effectiveness of these Poddex right here. So, Amy, welcome to the show.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up real quick, and I'm gonna select one. So randomly. All right, Amy.
All right.
This is from What the Heck Deck. How fast can you say the alphabet? Ready?
God.
1, 2, 3, go.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z.
Bam! There it is. All right.
Was that in order?
So there it is. So that's just like, one of many of the things that you can do with these decks. They're really dope, really cool. And like I said, Marauder 1 for 10% off, and that's Poddex for you. So, hey, everybody, happy Friday. We made it through another week. Well, still early, but right now we're rocking. It's looking pretty promising. So happy Friday, May 29th, 2020. Another week in the bag, another week of quarantining. I got a haircut lined up this afternoon, so I'm about to get shaved down. I'll be looking like new money by about 5 o'clock this evening, Eastern Standard Time. So episode 24, we're calling this one Losing My Religion. We got some really, really interesting conversation going on today. We, of course, with that being said, today we are marauding on religion, right? Religion. So, as I said earlier, I have my special guest today, Ms. Amy Riley, coming from us live and direct from beautiful and exotic Fayetteville, North Carolina. Hello, Amy. Go ahead and say hi to the world.
Hey, world. I'm Amy. Fayetteville is exotic, that's for sure.
You got a lot of characters out there, so definitely. So marauding on culture today, or marauding on religion. This is one of those topics that, it is kind of a hot button topic. And what made me decide to maraud on this was the actual article that came out about, the front man of the Christian rock band Hawk Nelson coming out saying that he no longer believes in God. And that's something that, I would imagine a lot of us would probably be struggling with, the things that we see on the day to day, or, even prior to that, that just might not just been how you got down, how you live your life. And not to say that it's wrong, not to say that it's right. It's just one of those things that is, and you accept it. So please understand, your boy Kellz is not trying to force you to believe, force you not to believe, trying to convert you or whatever, because far be it from me would be to sit there and tell you what's, right and what's wrong. So I'm not going to do that. We're just purely having a conversation, and fellow marauders out there, please comment. That's what's going to make this conversation that more effective. Let's talk, let's learn, let's build, and grow from each other with this topic. So with that being said, let's get into it. So he states that he no longer believes in God. And, I don't think this is too far off or too crazy of an idea. There's a lot of things out there that make people question. And I'm just going to go ahead and read a little bit of, what Jon said, Jon Steingard. So, he started out by saying, this is a post that I never thought that I would have to write. But, he said he grew up in a Christian home, being a pastor's kid, playing and singing in a Christian band. And, just the last few words is that I am now finding that I no longer believe in God. And it goes into, basically, his struggles with it, just not really being able to process it. looking at, how the world is. And more importantly, he was afraid. There was that fear and that stigma. And he said he started, in the rock group as a 20-year-old in his 20s. And I think it was a little bit more than what he expected. And he said he never felt comfortable doing prayer in public and stuff like that. So just a little bit of, his thoughts and his mindset on it. I think it's courageous. A lot of people in the comments and stuff, when I posted this article soliciting, people to jump on board and talk, they thought some people felt that, he was being a coward, and some people thought it was fake. How about you, Amy? How do you think this, what do you think about this whole statement?
Oh, I think it's very courageous of him to come out and say this. And he's liable to be shunned or anything from Christians, It would be very difficult to be in a Christian band and come out and say, I no longer believe in God.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree with him, though.
Yeah. I think with him, maybe that wasn't in his heart. I think he believed, but I don't think he knew why he believed. And I think he kind of struggled with that. I think it was just being raised. He didn't fully understand that. And as he got older and matured and was able to kind of form his own opinion, his values of what he believed in didn't necessarily align with the religion. And I don't think he's taken a lot of heat. Well, I know he's taken some heat, but I think he's receiving equal amount of support that he is, the heat from kind of stepping away from it. So with that being said, I think he's also going to be an example, because how you treat people as far as like, if they decide to step away from religion or decide to pull away and have their own thought, and maybe, being Christian or whatever, maybe that's not for him, but we're going to see it. And I think he's going to be an example. And I think we'll probably start seeing a lot more people come forward and actually make this statement. Do you agree or no?
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of people are going to start coming forward. I grew up as a Baptist small church in Kentucky, and I don't think it was ever my own beliefs. I think that it's just what I was told to believe. Mm-hmm. So when I got to be in my late 20s, I started forming my own opinions and just went from there. I think a lot of people are more or less brainwashed into organized religion. Mm-hmm. So they're not allowed to form their own opinions.
So when you say brainwashed, like what is, like how so? What brainwash? Is it just like, can it be looked at as almost somewhat as propaganda, or like how do you associate as brainwashing?
Maybe some propaganda. I just think that the people are just brought up in the church. Like, this is what you're going to believe, and that's all there is to it. Like, right. This is what is true, and if you have your own opinion, then that goes out the window, because your own opinion doesn't count sometimes in the church.
Right. And, even so, and it's like, like I said, I'm not a theologist, anything like that. I have no religious background, no religious affiliation. I actually identify myself as a weak agnostic, where one is like, where, you don't know for sure, but you could believe if there's enough evidence. And I think that's where I kind of fall in line. And, just a little bit of my background is, I didn't grow up that way. I was a military brat, moved around quite a bit. Went to church maybe a handful of times as far as I can remember. And then, as I, grew older and matured, joined the military, and, you're exposed to some things, that the average person isn't exposed to. And I think that kind of shaped, my thoughts on God and religion. And, you're in a place that's supposed to be a holy land, but these people are like at each other's throats, and there's death, and there's suffering with children and people in general. And it's hard to believe that God or Allah is there. If he's supposed to love and protect and care for, it's very hard to kind of see that. So that just shaped me. That's just Curtis Kelly Kellz telling my perspective. But I think with Mr. Steingard, I think it's going to be rough for him at first, but I think on the other end of it, I think he's going to come out all right. I think he may be a voice championing people and encouraging them to come out and be honest with your faith or lack thereof. But yeah, it's going to be a little rough. I think the Christian groups and stuff are probably going to beat them up a little bit, and I don't think that's fair. So no. So let me ask you. So we already talked about it, and you gave your background on your beliefs and how it shaped you. Why is religion such a hot button topic?
Why is it such a hot button topic? That's a good question.
It's like one of those things like you don't really want to get into because you don't want to piss people off, right? And it's like I always say, if you want to keep friends, you never discuss politics, money, or religion. So So with that, what do you think?
I think that's a good question. I don't discuss religion with a lot of my friends. I guess maybe I'm worried about what they'll think. A lot of my friends, my family.
Why is that? Do you? You obviously you trust them. You trust them enough to call them friends, but you said you don't trust that they'll be accepting of it. Why is that?
I think I'm just afraid of judgment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. Nobody wants to be judged, right? Nobody wants to be judged, and especially from that viewpoint. Religion is something that's very personal, very deep in a lot of people, and I think it's one of those things where if you believe in it, you follow it to the T, and I think some people get too deep into it. Where we are supposed to love, and the Bible tells us to love, forgive, and all those things. But then it also goes and tells you that you kill as well. But God doesn't want you to kill. It's a lot of different things in one book, and I think that's what Mr. Steingard kind of struggled with was one version. The Old Testament tells you one thing, but then the New Testament tells you another thing, and then there's other different interpretations. So it's he basically boiled it down to say that somebody with the same mindset as him basically just wrote a book, and used it as influence. And for me, that's kind of my mindset. That's the way I kind of looked at it, the way I kind of viewed it, and still view it. I think a lot of the stuff happened, but I think a lot of the stuff is interpreted to kind of teach life lessons and kind of maintain control. And that's just the way I kind of view it.
That's a good view. I think the Bible is being highly misinterpreted. People are reading into it all wrong. Like, this is going to sound really weird, but you told me I could say anything.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's being misinterpreted like the angels and Jesus and all the people in the Bible, coming down from the sky and all that stuff. I think they might have just been coming from other worlds, other places, like aliens.
And that's the whole Scientology thing, right? So that's a whole nother branch. And but what makes religion so fascinating to me is that it can be interpreted in so many different ways, right? So many different ways. And it's like there's a religion for every train of thought, in a sense. Like if you believe in evolution, there's a religion. If you believe in aliens, there's a school for that, or a branch for that, and it's just so amazing, like how much you can pull from one topic, and just there's so many different interpretations of it. So my next question is it okay to question God?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why so?
Why is it okay to question God? I just think that we all just need to do our own thing. And if we want to question if God is real or not, then that's what we need to do. And,
okay.
If it question God, is God even listening? Is there anybody listening to us, or is it just something in our imaginations?
Mm-hmm. So have you ever had a situation in your life where you've had to question God, or you found yourself questioning?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. When I was younger and was in the church, I questioned God a lot. Is God real? Is God just a figment of our imagination? Is God the universe? I had a lot of questions. I have a son. He's 18 now. He was diagnosed with autism when he was 2. And I've had to question a lot, would a God that is supposed to help people do this to people? Would he allow a person to go through their whole life not even being able to communicate with others? Or like kids with cancer. Right?
Yeah.
Why would a God do that?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, for me, that's where I struggle with, you know, I struggle with those same ideas. Like I said, just seeing, you know, things in deployment, things that we're seeing on the news today, you know, like how is that allowed? And, you know, but on the second hand, it's like, we're allowed free will, right? That's part of the deal. We're allowed free will. We make our life what we make of it. And that includes, you know, the consequences that come with it. And, you know, I think it's okay to question God, you know, from a devout religious follower standpoint. But when you cross that line, when you're accusing God of wrongdoing, like you caused this, God, this is your fault, you let this happen, I think that's where it gets a little bit shady or a little, you know, little blurry on the lines. I agree. I think it is okay, you know, because when you question, it opens up an opportunity to learn and, you know, learn why. And, you know, and then but to flat out accuse, you know, nobody likes to be accused of anything, right? So, you know, he did or not. So you take that same mindset into somebody who believes that God is all righteous and all knowing and can do no wrong, and you're looking for a fight. And so I think there's a way to do it, and, you know, and a civilized way to do it. But, you know, to come right out and accuse, I think you're looking for trouble. I think it's necessary. Like, there are questions out there, like why is this pandemic, you know, just ravaging the earth, and it's become the great equalizer in our world. Everybody's affected. Nobody's safe from it, regardless of how much money, your status, your position. Nobody is safe from this thing. And even more so, people of color with underlying, you know, medical conditions, or people with underlying medical conditions. Nobody is safe from this thing. So it would be probably safe, and I imagine a lot of people have done this already. They've questioned God, like, why is this happening right now? And then, you know, you have the giant ass hornets that are out there messing up people, and you know, now I read an article. There's about a bunch of locusts that have been in hibernation for like 17 years on the ground. They're about to be unleashed, and it's madness. And then you look at the state of the world from a interpersonal standpoint, where human relations and our government, and it's I don't know if we're witnessing it right now, but it almost looks like hell on earth, you know, in a sense. And you know, it's just the people that you thought would protect you are some, the good ones still are, but you have a lot of people who aren't. And you know, it's just one of those things, like, why is this happening, and where's the answer to it? You know, so I think a lot of people are looking for those answers, and I think that's probably why, you know, in a sense, you know, back to Mr. Steingard, I think that, you know, maybe that was probably the breaking point for him, maybe seeing, why is this happening, and why isn't anything changing? Why isn't God doing anything to intervene? So, you know, that's just where I see that. So my next question. So why do we search to find scientific reasons to disprove God, but never really tried to prove God's existence? Like, so, you know, and just to clarify, why do we search, you know, why is there always scientific evidence? I watched this show on Netflix with Morgan Freeman, and he's, you know, learning. Have you seen that show?
Yeah, like it.
Yeah, it's really dope. And it's not preachy, you know, it's more from an educational standpoint. But I think, you know, on his show, it does a really good job of balancing it, you know, where there is scientific evidence, but then there's also reasons, you know, to prove his existence or God's existence, him or her. So what do you think about that?
I think that it's important on both ends. Why do we try to prove God's existence? Really not try to prove God's existence. I don't know if there is a way that we can prove that God exists. Just like we can't say that there's another planet out there with other people living on it. We don't know.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate, right? So so you can prove gravity, you can prove, you know, somebody has a mind, you can prove all those things without having to see it, right? Sure. So it goes the same way with religion, and that's where I struggle. Like, you can prove those things, and they're well known, well thought out scientific facts, evidence, right? But why can't the same apply to God? You know, you can't see gravity, you can't see those things, but you can see it in action. But sometimes there are divine workings and divine interventions and things that happen in life where you can't explain it. It's hard to explain. So, What do you think about that?
That is a difficult question. I have to agree with you there a little bit. There are some things that happen that we have to be like, wow, is this the work of God? I mean, what's happening here? But I had the gravity thing. That's a good point.
See, so and I did some reading on this, and because I wanted to be fair and kind of hit it from both ends. And if anybody's out there listening, please comment with anything that you might want to talk about or ask about as well. But and that does make sense to me. It's like, do you necessarily need to see God to know that he or she exists? And I think what I think is that if there was something like more consistency, more acts of God or more divine intervention on a more frequency, I think maybe that would kind of put some of those questions to rest.
Okay, yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah. Like I believe in ghosts, but that has really been
exactly my point exactly. So you believe in ghosts, right?
Yeah.
But that's probably because you've probably had some kind of supernatural experience, I take it.
Oh, yeah.
All right, share it. I want to hear the story.
Oh, I have a lot of stories.
All right, give me a good one.
Oh, so my son that has autism, he can see things that we can't see. And a little while after my uncle died, so I think I told you, he has autism and he didn't talk very well for a long time. We were sitting on the bed and he gets up and looks down the dark hallway and starts waving and says, "Hi, Craig." And Craig was my uncle's name. So that was one of the first things he did. And then at my grandma's funeral, he looks up in the corner and he goes, "Oh, that man took Grandma."
That's spooky. That's kind of spooky.
Yeah, he does all kinds of spooky things. I have a dozen stories, probably more than that.
But I say spooky like joking around bullshitting, but it's some of those things that we don't fully understand, right? And I think if there's a way to understand it, a way to communicate, whether you want to communicate with a ghost or not, or anything beyond that, beyond this world, that's on you. But I think that if there was the ability to communicate and talk and understand and learn, right? If you can do those things, I think that would go a long way to kind of put to rest those worries and those fears and things like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So for me, I got to stick with my original statement. Like I have to see something, in a sense, concrete. And I know I gave both examples, but for me, I need to see more evidence, more proof. And because right now, like today, where it stands, it's looking like he ain't here. He or she ain't here. So,
he's not here or forgot about us or.
Yeah,
a lot of people think this is the end.
Yeah, and the more I sit back and look, and you go about your day kind of carefree in a way, or your normal everyday business and stuff like that, and you take a second to step back and really look at what's happening, the climate change, just the disease, the food shortage now in response to the disease. I mean, it's just. It's looking pretty scary out there, really scary. So
yeah, it's getting pretty grim.
So my next question, how can you tell the voice of God from the voice of the devil?
Oh, that's a good question. The voice of the devil. Okay, I can give you an example probably from this week. If the devil exists, I'm sitting at a stoplight here in Fayetteville, Cameron, and this thought just comes into my head. What if I just pull my car out in front of the semi? That's not me. Why would I think that? I wouldn't do something like that.
That's wild.
Yeah.
But those are dark thoughts, right? And I think and I literally just met you prior to going on to this, but I wouldn't think, especially a woman with a family and all that stuff, that probably wouldn't be normal actions from you. So
no.
But every now and again, those thoughts creep up, and those dark thoughts. And I'm not gonna lie, I've had them. I suffer from anxiety and adjustment disorder and things like that. But sometimes your mind does go to dark places. And I know during quarantine, I can't think of too many people whose mind haven't gone to those places. With depression and things like that. So and I don't know if that's necessarily the devil per se, because I mean, is it the devil or is it God? God calling you, hey, do this, you're coming home. So I don't know. It's just one of those things, and it's like the devil is evil, right? From
Right.
all intent and purposes, as far as we know, the devil is evil.
Mm-hmm.
But who's to say that it's the devil actually telling you to do that act? So it's just, I don't know. It's hard. It's just there are evil actions out there. Don't get me wrong. There are evil actions, but I don't know, because if we're sitting there watching the news or watching all this death and destruction and all this stuff, and God's allowing it to happen, so is that it's an inaction of God to intervene and do something about it? You can't say it's the devil at work, because people have free will. So it's a very, very fine line to walk, and it is hard to explain. And I really wish somebody would get on here and comment and kind of throw something out there for us to kind of discuss and bounce off of.
But I think that's a good question, though. When you have these intrusive thoughts, you have to wonder, why would I think something like that? That's not me. Is that, like you said, maybe that's God saying, come on home, or the devil putting thoughts into your head.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a deep down.
Yeah, or it maybe it's just something different, just something chemical in your mind or something like that, and it could be a number of things, from exhaustion, just not thinking clear. I mean, overwork, because our world as a whole, we're stressed, and there's a lot of things going on in our world that can play into those things, to depression and those mental health issues. So I don't know if it's necessarily the devil. I just think that, first of all, for a fact, I know we're overworked as a society, and just, so. But I try not to listen to the devil. I don't listen to any records backwards, any of those things. I never did it. I don't play with Ouija boards. I don't do none of that shit. I just keep it as simple as possible. So
I have a couple of Ouija boards, but we don't play with them.
So see, there's just ornamentation around your house. So we used to play with it when I was in middle school, and it kind of weirded me out, and I couldn't get down with it, and just kind of messed me up. But so hey, fellow Marauders, if you're just tuning in, I got Amy Riley from beautiful and scenic Fayetteville, North Carolina, marauding on religion, and basically we're just talking about, we just wrapped up the conversation of how can you tell the voice of God from the voice of the devil. So if you're listening in, I want to hear your comments. So next question. And this one kind of gets me, right? So why are churches rich? And you see these giant mega churches, Joel Osteen, all that shit, when Jesus gave all his wealth to the poor. Why is that? Or at least, why do you think that is?
I think people are just greedy. They just want money. That's all. That's what it's all about. A lot of these big churches, I don't think they even care if you believe in Jesus or God. They want you to come to church every Sunday and give them an offering.
And that's what's crazy to me, because you see these pastors and stuff. They're in these giant mega churches, and they roll up in these nice cars and all this stuff, and to me, it's almost like selling you something, right? It's like selling you hope, selling you faith, selling you,
yes,
religion, and you shouldn't have to pay to receive the word. And they were, I know when COVID first kind of kicked off and they were talking about the quarantining and all that stuff, they were looking at doing paid streaming for services, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like, if you're spreading the word of God, if you are truly a man or woman of God and you're looking to spread his word, you shouldn't have to pay to receive that word. Like, you should be able to go in a park and just preach, and if people are going to follow, they're going to follow. If not, and they want to walk, okay, they walk. But it's still free will, but you're still spreading that word. And I hate the fact that religion is tied to this image, and people are basically giving you their last dollar in order to receive comfort and calming words and the word of God, and these people are just profiting. What really pissed me off was with this dude was, I think it was Joel Osteen he was down in Houston. And when the floods and everything happened a few years back, this dude closed off his churches to the people. It's like, aren't you supposed to open your doors and let people in for shelter? The church is supposed to be a safe place. It's supposed to be a welcoming place. And you closed your doors to people. So it's just, I don't know. I really question the intent behind these people. I mean, what do you think? Because you're in Fayetteville, North Carolina. They got some of those mega churches down there, and what do you besides the greed? What do you think about the people who attend them or people who support them?
All right, I kind of agree with you there. I think they're selling hope to people. Like, you come to our church, give us money, and we're going to promise you that when you die, you're going to see all of your family again.
Yeah.
You're going to go live in this big mansion in the sky and everything you always wanted. So I think that's got a lot to do with it. Like, they're selling it to these people like a promise. Like, this is 100% what's going to happen, but they can't really promise you that because they don't know.
Exactly. So how can you sell somebody something that you don't even have evidence that actually really exists? So I think, at the core of it, at least from this perspective, I think that it's almost kind of like a control device, to keep people performing and acting a certain way. And then, you can kind of manipulate it from there. And as long as you keep dangling that carrot saying, if you keep doing this, if you keep following the laws, the moral laws of our society, this is what waits for you on the other end.
Right.
So, and what I believe is, I've said this before, if you're a good person, you do right by people, you don't screw people over, you're a person of your word, you do your best every day, I think you're going to be fine. I think you're going to be okay. And we got our first comment in. Oh, what's up? My homegirl Cindy Diaz out in beautiful Las Vegas. Hey, what's up, Cindy? So, Cindy, I see you're watching. I appreciate it. What do you think about religion? I know you come from a religious background in your family. How important is religious in your family? If you care to comment, and do you think that this is a sign of the times that people are starting to sway away from religion? So I'd love to hear your opinion on that if you wouldn't mind sharing. But I just think that, like I said, if you do right by people, if you're a good person, you strive to do your best, you help your man and woman out. I think you're going to be okay. Nothing's perfect, nothing's guaranteed in life. And as far as heaven, my interpretation of heaven is that, if you do all those things, right, you touch as many lives as you can, you influence people for the better, you learn from your mistakes, you teach. I think that's how you live on. I think your name lives on in like, I don't want to say like in gold and glitter, but your name lives on in a good light. People remember you for being a good person, and that's passed on. So that's just kind of how I interpret it.
That's good interpretation. Yeah. I think that when we die, we're just going to go to, and not really our mansion in the sky, but I think our heaven is going to be whatever we make it, whatever our soul wants it to be.
Yeah. And do you believe in reincarnation?
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. So what? So previous life. Do you have an idea, or have you looked into that? What was your form in a previous life? Have you looked into that?
I have a little bit. I've had some memories that aren't really mine. Like, I have this memory a lot of being a little girl, but it's not me, but it's not my face, but I know that this person is me. And I'm in this truck with a person that I don't know, and we're driving down this old country road, and all of a sudden this tree branch comes through the window and goes through my neck. And that's how this girl, me, so I'm interpreting it was me, that's how this person died. And I've done a lot of the meditation with the past lives, where you can meditate and have these visions of your past lives, and that's one that always comes up a lot. This little girl.
Well, that's pretty cool. I I was expecting you to tell me usually people say, oh yeah, I was like a panther or a tiger, something like that. But no, that's pretty deep. do you still have these memories often, or is there anything else that comes from those, or is it just that one memory?
It's just that one memory. I've tried to dig a little deeper, and sometimes I can see a little bit more, but it's always we're driving down this road, and then there comes that big tree branch, and I know it's coming because I can feel it. And it's like I remember this happening, but it didn't happen to this body.
Hmm.
But something else weird about that, I've had a lot of health issues in the past few years, and sometimes my neck has a lot of pain and a lot of pain in my shoulder, and I've had some MRIs and stuff, and my doctor was like, "So when did you have this neck injury?" I'm like, "I've never had a neck injury." And he said, "Well, there is some serious injury going on with your neck." So that's a little weird.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, to never have a neck injury, have that, that those premonitions and those thoughts and stuff, and then the doctor actually identified that would kind of spook me out a little bit. So I've I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No.
So yeah, I do believe in reincarnation.
Yeah. I don't know if I believe in reincarnation. It's one of those things where I have to kind of know somebody who, I could be talking to somebody and, they pass, and then like a couple days later they come up tugging on my arm and it's some kid, "Hey, it's me." It's like one of those things, that I'd have to see that. Yeah, it will weird me out, but that's just the way I have to be shown in order to believe. So
Yeah.
Reincarnation, I don't think I've ever had a situation where I believe I came back as something else or anybody else or anything like that. I do have deja vu quite a bit. I see a lot of things that, I've seen before, and when they actually happen, it kind of weirds me out. But, other than that, and maybe that's a form of it. I don't know. But as far as like full on, believe in reincarnation, I don't. My wife believes in it. She believes in that. And, but for me, not really. So.
Okay. I think the deja vu's a little. It's probably a whole nother podcast.
Oh yeah. I might have to get some more people on for that one. So
I could go into that.
So this is our last question for this session. So after thousands of years of debate, are we any closer to a consensus of God being real?
No, I don't think so. I think we might have been closer in years past, maybe closer than we are now. Maybe closer right after the time of Jesus. But I do think Jesus was real.
Yeah, I think Jesus is real too, and I just think that. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll give you my.
No, it's okay. That's what I was going to say. I think we might have been closer to a consensus of God being real around that time. But I think as a society we have really strayed from even trying to find out if God is real.
Yeah, so my thing is I do believe Jesus is real, and I think, in my opinion, like I said, again, this is Kellz's opinion only. I think the Bible is just a collection of stories and lessons that we are supposed to abide and read and abide by and live by. So I that's just kind of how I see it. I think we have free will. I think, hey, the manual is here, but you do as you please, and so that's just kind of how I see it. I don't think we're any closer. There's still wars. They're still fighting over, a strip of land over, in the Middle East. People are still dying. It's just you have fanatical, groups like ISIS and stuff like that are based off of religion and in their belief. So it's no. And then you have diehard atheists, who don't believe, and that's fine too. And it's just, I don't think we'll ever come to a consensus unless he or she pops up out of the sky one day or out of the ground or somewhere and be like, "Hey, surprise! I told you I was here." And unless that happens, I don't think we'll ever be. I don't think we'll ever be on an agreement that this is real.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I don't think so either.
And it's something that I read, and I didn't pose this as a question, but I do want to ask you: do you think that in lower income country or lower poverty stricken countries, lower income areas, do you think that people rely on religion more heavily in those areas and in those parts of the world than they do that more instead of those that are more technologically advanced, more viewed as more educated, more civilized? Do you think that there's a disparity there? And if so, why?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. I think that social media plays a big part in religion now, and what people are seeing things on Facebook and on Instagram, and that might change their viewpoint a little bit. I think people in some countries that don't have social media, they're not influenced like we are here in America. I think they might be a little bit more reliant on the religion, on God.
Yeah. Yeah, I view it as, and you brought up the point, is with the social media thing, and it's like when you are constantly fed information, and even so, for example, I'll see something and then I'll just look it up just to get more research on it, more knowledge on it, and I think that plays into it where you have those countries where, they don't have access to stuff like that at the ready. I'm sure there's internet in those countries, but at the ready in your hand, probably not. So you're probably gonna have to go somewhere to find use for it, but you still have tribal cultures that rely on certain things, certain deities, stuff like that. And that's just their way. That's their culture. In the Muslim culture, they pray 5 times a day, so it's just the way they do things. But yet they still have access to technology and modern day, amenities and niceties that we have. But, so I looked at the question, and I just want to ask you and get your opinion. But I looked at that question and I'm like, yes and no, because my example again with the Muslim culture, they still follow it to a T, but it's more of a modern version of that culture, so you still have all that information at the ready, but you still follow it and believe in God. It's similar to us here in the United States. We have all this information at the ready, however we want it, but you still, follow God and still follow that moral code, that moral law. So it's tough. I back to the original question, it's just I don't know. And I don't think we'll ever know. I don't think we'll ever find out. It's just one of those things where you kind of just have to stay tuned in life, and just wait to see kind of what happens with it.
That's true. Yeah, we're not going to know until I guess when we die, right?
Yeah, I know, right? And then who are you going to tell? So
yeah,
damn, you're right. So.
I'll come back and tell you if I don't.
All right, that's right. The reincarnation thing. I got another comment that popped up. So here it is. So April Westerfield, she says, I think religion is about faith, just like you have faith in yourself to accomplish things. People believe in God because they have faith. It makes them feel better. Like you said, to listen to a pastor tell stories that can help you with life. That's a good point. That's a really, really good point. Thank you, April, for that. I think, it's, you have to have hope, or what do you have? Hope helps, at least for the people who follow and go to church and stuff like that. You have to have something to believe in, because to go with nothing, you're just aimless, and I think that faith and that hope also kind of governs people, because like I said, where you're dangling that carrot somewhat, you don't want to go off the path. You don't want to be that bad apple, like, man, I messed up, I'm going to hell, nobody wants that. So it is that idea, so that is definitely a different way to look at it.
That is a good point. Like, I hope that something else happens after this, I hope that we don't just die and that's it.
Yeah. So if there is a heaven, what do you want it to be?
I want it to be on the beach. On the beach in Hawaii. That's my heaven.
That's your heaven? Man, I don't know. For me, it would be just, friends, family, good food. Hopefully you can drink, and chill and just everything that you love and missed is right there with you again. I'm simple. I don't need, a mansion and all that stuff. Probably wouldn't get one anyway, but just give me a nice comfy cloud if that's what's up there, and my family and friends and all the things I enjoy, and I'm set. So
yeah, that'd be good. Have all my family on the beach.
Get you a cloud beach going on up there.
Yeah, I hope they all want to live on the beach after they die.
So, all right. So final comments and thoughts. So, hey, Amy, I appreciate you coming on and spending this afternoon with me. And just conversing, having the conversation. I appreciate your openness and your stories on your son and things that you've seen and witnessed and your background and growing up and stuff like that. Because, like I said, religion is a personal thing, right? It's a personal thing. No matter how you cut it, it's your belief. And for you to come on there and share that, I really appreciate you taking the time to do that.
And I'm glad you had me. This was fun.
Yeah, so you're welcome back. Hey, you're a marauder. Once you're on the show, you're in the crew for forever. So
all right, just let me
know. so final thoughts. For me, like I said, this is just something just to have the conversation, fellow marauders. I'm not, like I said in the beginning, not trying to sway you one way or another or make you believe or anything. It's just good to have these conversations and just get a better understanding. Yes, the whole thing stemmed from the singer of a Christian rock band, renouncing his faith. But there's always a chance to kind of educate and bounce ideas off each other and just kind of get a better understanding, peel back that onion a little bit and maybe look at why, you can always ask the question why. So with that being said, I want to thank our guest, Amy Riley, for coming on, marauding with us on religion. You got any shout outs? Who you want to give a shout out to?
April, she's my friend, the one that made the comment.
All right. Family, kids, anybody?
I don't think my kids are watching. My husband, I guess.
All right. All right, cool. So, hey, with that being said, hey, fellow marauders, if you got anything you want to maraud on, explore, talk about, hit us up at _culture_marauders on Instagram. And then if you want to hit us up on Facebook, it's at the Culture Marauders. I'm on there quite often, just checking out, seeing what's happening in the world, seeing how we can get involved and have a discussion about it. Or, if you don't want to go that route, hit me up at theculturemarauders@gmail.com. And, we'll get into it, and just get to talking. So I want to give special thanks, like I said, to Amy coming on, helping out, marauding with us. Cindy and April for commenting, keeping the conversation rolling. And family and friends for supporting, listeners, viewers, you guys supporting the show. Everybody who chimed in on my request, to have somebody talk about this whole topic. Thank you for, lending your comments and being open-minded. I also want to give a shout out as usual to the teachers out there. Give a shout out to all the kids graduating, all the kids finishing up a difficult second half of the year. Hey, you earned a break. Go relax, party. Unfortunately, Chuck E. Cheese ain't open, so I can't take my kids there yet. But, we're going to figure something out. So shout out to the kids, the teachers, the parents who dual-hatted it as parents and teachers. And still trying to hold down a job. So shout out to all of you. Hey, job well done. So thank you. And then, to the healthcare heroes out there, those still going in. Yeah, things are opening up, but we are far from having this thing behind us. This COVID thing is still running rampant. So thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for, getting up, putting the mask back on, putting the scrubs back on, going back into battle another day. And thank you, also to the military folks that are out there still serving, still grinding. I got friends out there still, putting in the work, still deploying and all those things. Thank you from a fellow brother right here, Kellz himself. So, and also the essential workers, you folks out there stocking the shelves, you make it to where, you deliver groceries and all that stuff. Hey, what up, Jeff? But yeah, check it out, man. It'll be up here shortly. Thank you. All the folks, the essential workers out there, putting in the work, like I said, stocking shelves, delivering groceries, making sure, we got food, we got, the quality of life that we're used to in as much of a normal form as we can hope for. Thank you guys for doing those things. And also, man, this is tough. I also, rest in peace to George Floyd. And I don't want to go too deep into this. It's tragic. But I understand Black America's anger. I understand the world's anger, not even just Black America's anger. I understand it. But there are good cops out there. And, if you pray, let's just hope that we can come to an understanding where this stuff stops happening. Have faith in our justice system, have faith in our cops. There are good cops out there. My uncle's a cop. Shout out to Robert Gibson out there out in KC. He's a good cop. He's a good person. There are good cops out there, and there's other folks out there. So just, please don't lump them all in the same group. There deserves to be justice for, for George, for everybody else, who's gone through this and those families and stuff like that. There deserves to be justice, but it has to come the right way. I understand the anger, but we have to come to a table. We have to come to some kind of agreement, some kind of understanding where we can talk and be transparent and have these conversations. And we have to organize and be able to, be consistent with pushing for change and all those things. So rest in peace. Tough topic to talk about, but it's a necessary topic. So with that being said, Culture Marauders episode 24, Losing My Religion. As always, I like to close out with one culture, one blood, one love. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon. Peace.
Bye.